They say if you want to fly, then give up everything that weighs you down. On today's case, Ms. Bone says that's exactly how she feels about her partner, Mr. Maxson, weighed down. She says that after making a commitment to her health and losing 90 pounds, she's noticed that there is some other dead weight she can drop in her life. She says Mr. Maxson is a lazy deadbeat who she recently caught referring to another woman as his soulmate. Now, Ms. Bone says she's ready to spread her wings and fly toward a solo life. Let's hear their case.
Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Starr presiding. Your Honor, this is the case of Bone versus Maxson.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bone, Mr. Maxson. Ms. Bone, you are in court today because you say your relationship has hit rock bottom and you are prepared to call off your engagement.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Maxson, you are here, you say, to save your relationship. You say you want nothing more than to get married and have a child with Ms. Bone.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so Ms. Bone, actually, we've met before. I remember the last time that I saw you, and you were a witness in my courtroom. This time, you are the plaintiff in my courtroom. What brings us to court?
I'm here to end my engagement, Your Honor. I need to get rid of dead weight. Here's the thing, I've lost some weight, and I've realized that I've made these changes in my life, and he's not gonna match that energy for me. He hasn't matched the work and the effort I've put into this relationship. He's been a liar, a cheater, a lazy pothead, and I just deserve better. And I've decided that it's time to cut my losses, and I'm ready for him to pack his stuff up and get out of the house.
Doesn't sound like a whole lot of good has been going on in this relationship.
Not the past couple years.
So I'm gonna go over to Mr. Maxson. Mr. Maxson, you heard what Ms. Bone said. What do you say?
I think there's a lot of things to consider that I've made mistakes in this relationship for sure. She has too as well. There's been a lot of factors in our relationship that has drifted us apart. I'm here to try to bring this back together. I feel like if we're changing, we could change together. So
you think that although there have been some issues, they're not insurmountable and you can move forward in the relationship?
Yes.
So let's see. Ms. Bone, take me back to how you met, because you do look very different than the last time I saw you.
Yes. So Derick and I went to high school together.
Okay.
He married his high school sweetheart. They were together for 15 years, and then they divorced, and he messaged me on social media, and we reconnected. We started hanging out. We had a lot of common interests. We both really love art. We would paint together. I have a weakness for musicians, and he sings and plays guitar beautifully. So I fell for him pretty quickly. And in the beginning, he was very sweet. You know, we had a really good connection. We got engaged within 2 years, but as time went on, the relationship just kind of gradually dwindled into more and more negativity and not positivity. And
you moved in together, am I correct?
We did, yes.
And although you have no children together, Mr. Maxson has 3 children, and they're all young, 13, 10, and 8, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do they all live in the same house with you all?
Yes.
So you've stepped into a mother role also.
I did. I happily stepped into the role of stepmother.
Mr. Maxson, I have to say, that sounds like a lot for a young woman to take on, and that's somebody who really loves you to take on that kind of responsibility.
I agree.
When the relationship began, what were you looking for in a relationship, sir?
I was looking for a more spiritual relationship. Part of her change was to lose her weight and do all this, and I wanted to change with her. So she stopped smoking weed, and so did I.
So the accusation of you being a pothead, that's an old accusation?
Yes.
So I'm gonna turn back over to Ms. Bone, because Ms. Bone, you got a little smirk on your face like that's not really how it went down.
So when I met Derick, I was not smoking, and he was smoking, and I started smoking with him again, and I expressed to him, I don't want to be in a relationship where we continue smoking, you know, long-term, like excessive use. And he told me he had smoked since he was a young kid, and he was gonna keep smoking till he was an old man, that he loves marijuana, and he was never gonna quit it. So when I started losing the weight, I truly started working on my mind, body, and soul. And I realized that with carrying all that extra weight, I I think that I ignored a lot of his red flags because I was insecure.
You actually say that defendant is a liar and a cheapskate. And I know that you already mentioned today that you were interested in being a mother, giving birth yourself, even though you are a great stepmom. So what has been the impediment there?
When we first started talking, I made it clear to him, do you want more children? Because I love children, I'll take yours on, but I want some biological children of my own.
Yep.
And he said that his wanted him to get a vasectomy, but he was more than willing to get it reversed. He always imagined a bigger family. Here we are 5 years later.
And engaged for 3 years.
Yes.
Mr. Maxson, what happened with the vasectomy?
Anytime we ever got to the point where we had enough money, it just got spent, not by me, by choice, it just happened. There was always times where we set it aside and then something happened and she was like, well, we'll always save it up again. And
Well, that doesn't sound like what Ms. Bone is saying.
There were maybe 1 or 2 instances where we had a little bit of money set aside and it had to go to something else. But here's the thing. This is the thing. I've always made more money than him and I've always paid more towards the bills. I've always provided. This man has never bought himself or his children a piece of clothing.
Huh?
Never. Since I've known him. I buy all of their clothes. I buy most of the groceries. I pay for all the fun things we do. We went on a vacation. He maybe paid a few $100s when I paid thousands.
Mr. Maxson, what's that about?
I spent a lot of money on my kids.
No, I'm listening to what Ms. Bone says. She makes a very succinct argument that she's the one that buys your children clothes, she buys the groceries, she pays the majority of the bills. Is that true, sir?
No.
Well, why don't y'all sit down and have real financial discussion?
It's hard to talk with her about finances. It really is. She gets an attitude pretty fast.
Probably because she's paying all the bills.
How are we even gonna have another kid when you can barely afford these 3?
When's the last time you put some money into the household? I'm being very serious about that because I don't know very many families that can sustain itself on just one income.
I've been working at my job for 10 years.
Okay.
And I'm very passionate with my job.
Okay.
I work hard. I've moved up to a lead warehouse position.
Yes, sir.
And I
That's
get paid.
good money and it has benefits. I like that.
Yes, and I've put in my 401k. I have a retirement fund. I have things set aside. All the money that I've ever gotten was spent on the household and everything. I never had anything to spend for myself.
Can I jump in?
Yes, of course, Ms. Bone.
I handle all the bills. I pay for everything. He would give me a portion of his check towards bills. The amount of money I put towards all the bills and all the groceries, every expense in our household was 2 to 3 times always what he put in.
So in other words, if we are talking about a $100 pot, he would put in...
I paid for the weed all the time, except for whenever...
Oh, I actually wasn't talking about smoking pot. I said a money pot. Y'all still got pot on the brain, okay? If we put $100 in the family pot, if you will, $100 in the family money pot, he would give 30 and you would be giving 70?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's what you're talking about.
And he doesn't understand that because he's not the one that ever paid the bills. He still doesn't really understand how much everything costs.
And have you all ever sat down and had a financial discussion?
He has expressed to me, when I express my frustration, he's been like, can you sit down and lay everything out for me so I understand?
She never has.
And we've never gotten around to that, but also I had a lot on my plate and I just didn't feel like I even had the energy or the want to sit there and sit down with him and like...
Well, I understand there was something very specific. What happened to the stimulus check?
He got a stimulus check for his children, $1,200.
Okay.
And I told him, I was the one that was buying their clothes for years. When he got that check that was specifically money from the government for his children, I said, hey, I'm gonna take this and go get them some clothes. They grow out of, anybody knows children grow out of clothes like weeds.
Right.
I went to Walmart. I didn't go to some designer store. I didn't go get them Nike and Jordan. I went to Walmart and I spent $300 on 3 children.
That's good.
That's $100 per child. That's barely any money.
When you get that kind of money, you want to save and invest. And also, I didn't want to just give my money out and have her spend it. I wanted to be able to support the family and spend what I needed to do as myself, like she does with her checks.
So wait, don't you think that $300 is reasonable to buy children clothes? I mean, I thought that seems very frugal to me. And if the money was supposed to be for the kids?
I think I was out of line in that aspect. When we got the money, it was spent immediately, and I wanted things to be spent my way in certain portions.
Well, why don't y'all sit down and have real financial discussion?
It's hard to talk with her about finances. It really is. She gets an attitude pretty fast.
Probably because she paying all the bills. Because that's what will happen when there's one person in the relationship who has the majority of the financial burden. No matter what they say, that's a big burden on the shoulders.
And that's where I started to have resentment, because in the beginning, I've never been like, I'm not some gold digging woman. I don't go after men for what they can do for me. I never have.
Mm-hmm.
But after so many years with him and realizing how much I was spending, paying for him and his kids, I'm like, how are we even gonna have another kid when you can barely afford these 3? I wanted him to get a better job and make more money, and it just wasn't something that he seemed interested in. I found him messaging a woman 20 years his senior that's like an old grandma. He even told, in the messages, he told her, Kayla's my future. I'm gonna marry her. This is gonna be a one-time thing, no feelings.
Wow.
Mr. Maxson. If you'd like your case to be heard on divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com. Missed a show? Watch full episodes on our streaming platforms and follow us on social media for exclusive content. Mr. Maxson, Ms. Bone has made a pretty good argument that she is not happy with the financial situation in your house.
I'm not happy about it either. I wasn't happy about buying that house. I wasn't happy about buying my car.
Did you buy the house?
I supported her with the loan that she got for the VA.
How do you mean you supported her? What happened?
She wanted to buy a 3-bedroom house, which we deserve a 3-bedroom house.
I know, you got all these children here.
She wanted a 3-bedroom house with 3 bathrooms and like 200 square. This is a big house.
We have a huge house. It's not 3 bedrooms, it's 5 bedrooms. He has 3 children. I had my father I was taking care of.
Okay.
We need
Could you afford the house?
We could.
Not after her
I was
passing.
taking care of
After
my
his
father,
passing,
making
we
great
couldn't
money.
afford it.
And when he passed away, the plan was always for Derick to get a better job before my father passed away so he could match how much I
So in
paid.
other words, whatever you were getting as a caregiver for your father, that was sort of going to run out when he went home to God at some point, okay? But your expectation was you had enough runway room so that Mr. Maxson could ultimately supplement once that money
was the plan.
ran out, right?
Yes.
Was that the plan, according to you, Mr. Maxson, also?
Yeah. Yes.
So what happened to the plan, ma'am?
He went to school for HVAC and he graduated, and he just has not found a new job. He graduated in early 2022 and he just never found a new job.
So in other words, that plan that you all had, he's still back at that same salary.
I'm not. I got a raise.
You did get the raise?
I got a raise. I got a $2.50 raise.
When I broke up with him, he went and demanded a raise.
And then I'm getting a bigger raise now. I'm now a warehouse lead.
Does Mr. Maxson contribute anything to the home?
One of my biggest frustrations in the relationship is that, we're homeowners now. Technically, the house is not in his name, but he's my man. It's our home, So anytime anything went wrong with the house, anytime there was any repairs to be made, I can't turn to him for direction or help. He acts like it's not his responsibility.
Because it's not his house.
With it. Yeah, at one point the fence broke down from a storm and the neighbor's dogs were getting into our yard, and he just acted like, figure it out. And I had to call, find a company, call them, pay for it. He didn't help at all.
That's because that's not your husband. Let me be really honest with you.
Right.
It's not your husband.
He's not my husband because did you know that he's actually some other woman's soulmate? Yeah, just recently, a couple months ago, I got on his phone and he's on some woman's social media and she's talking about, my soulmate must be lost. And he says, no, he's not lost. He's just here in Missouri where we live. He was calling himself our soulmate.
Who is this,
While I'm
Mr.
over
Maxson?
here providing for his children.
Random person on TikTok.
So you were talking to a random TikTok
No, I
person?
wasn't talking to him, made a comment.
You made a comment?
It was a video and I made a comment, one comment.
And you said, but it was a comment that was a flirtatious comment.
Yes, it was.
So what was that about, sir?
It was a mistake. It was a huge mistake. There's a lot of mistakes I've made in this relationship.
Yeah, I mean, but a mistake is going left on Peachtree instead of right.
Oh, I know.
Because you could get messed up.
I know.
Okay?
Have you ever read the book, The 5 Love Languages?
Yeah, I know the 5 love
yeah.
languages very clearly, so
Yeah.
keep going.
I read the book myself, and I learned a lot from it. There's a lot of things that I learned about myself through that book, about how my love tank wasn't as full and neither was hers.
Okay.
And that's when I realized that maybe we weren't as compatible as we thought.
Mr. Maxson, something I'm still trying to figure out is why you would seek comfort or emotional comfort from a social media miscellaneous person.
I think my love language was quality time, and I wasn't getting that. She was always on her phone. Anytime we tried to talk or do something, or even watch a simple movie, she was on her phone.
Okay.
Me being on my phone and being disconnected from him didn't happen until after multiple occasions of me catching him emotionally cheating.
It was all the time.
And the trust was never rebuilt. When I would tell him, how do I, what do I even know? How am I supposed to trust you or know that you truly want to be with me and you're not out here seeking other women again? And you know what he would say? I don't know. If you don't want to be with me, don't be with me.
But wait a minute. I heard the soulmate instance.
I have a better one for you.
There's more?
Oh, there's multiple. There was a point where I was praying for clarity from God. I was telling God, is this the man for me? Should I marry him? Should I be with him?
I do that.
Can we heal? Can we elevate this relationship, or is he not the one for me? Shortly after praying about this, he got violently ill, throwing up, could not hold down any water or food for an extended period. So we went to the ER. And when they took him back for some testing, he left his phone, and something told me to look in there, and I did. And I found him messaging a woman 20 years his senior that's like an old grandma, and he was talking to her about meeting up with her and having a sexual experience with her. He even in the messages, he told her, Kayla's my future. I'm gonna marry her. This is gonna be a one-time thing, no feelings.
Oh, wow.
So what, bro? Help me understand.
Mr. Maxson.
It was the communication, the talk.
You were seeking emotional connection
Yes.
with somebody because you weren't getting it at home. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. I got bullied a lot at home. She called me a crybaby many times.
Your ex called you a crybaby. I never called you a crybaby. I told you it's okay for men to cry.
You did because you knew it hurt me, and that's what made it worse. You'd say things because I knew I had confined to you about those things, and then you made it clear that this would hurt you, so I'm gonna say it.
I never have called you a crybaby, ever. That's a lie.
We can agree to disagree.
Actually, you all have agreed to disagree throughout this entire case. Mr. Maxson, you're not getting what you want emotionally.
Yes.
Probably because you're not giving Ms. Bone what she wants. You do speak different love languages. I can see that very clearly to me.
Yes.
But, sir, you've been living a good life. You've had somebody provide a home for you, where the bills are paid, where your children are taken care of, where their everyday needs are hooked up. Ms. Bone has been a boom to your family. That, quite frankly, is just the truth. I'm being honest with you.
I think emotionally not, no.
I just want him out of my house. I'm
Ms.
done.
Bone, the house is in your name?
Yes.
You're not married?
No.
You do not have children with this man?
No.
If you want to maintain a relationship with his children, that might be a separate relationship, but right now, if I were you, I would tell this man to gather his pictures and his plants and get the heck out of my house. Nope, done.
I'm ready for you to get your stuff and get out. You need to just take it and you need to go. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's over.
Well, Robert, talk about a relationship that is over.
User.
A deadbeat. Bye-bye.
Made in Georgia.